prior to this, and obviously being a part of this meeting. So again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to highlight some of the things going on in the ARRL, and certainly at the same time too, I think it's also good to do a refresher sometimes on how the ARRL is structured, what some of the current events are, and obviously field some questions. So I am going to get some share here. We'll get that going, and here we go. If everyone give me a thumbs up if they start to see the screen here. All look good?
Looks good.
All right, here we go. So again, my contact information there, my call sign N2SRK at ARRL.org. So again, what we'll do is we'll go over some updates, some current events, as well as some Q&A. So you might be wondering, who's this guy that they invited to our club meeting tonight? I was licensed in 1992. I'm a native of Southern New Jersey, the good old SNJ section. I moved to Colorado back in 2010. For my career, I'm an employee owner and vice president of a sheet metal company, and it's also a wholesale distributor serving the heating and air conditioning world. So we serve Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Kansas, and Texas. Within amateur radio and within Colorado, I'm president and also one of the co-founders of the Parker Radio Association. That group is actually turning big double digits. We're turning 10 in 2024, so big milestone for us. Not quite the 100 plus that the DRC has, but hopefully we'll be able to catch up and be able to hit triple digits like you guys. Back in June 2020, I was appointed as the vice director for the Rocky Mountain Division. I serve with K0RM, Jeff Ryan, who is the director of the division. When I came on, I was appointed to the Program and Services Standing Committee, also known as the PSC Committee, and I'm currently on the Administrative and Finance Committee, also another standing committee within the league. So outside of work and amateur radio, love camping, love hiking, fly fishing. I'm horrible at golf, but I also love baseball. And being a native of South Jersey, my heart was broken with my beloved Philadelphia Phillies losing in the National League Championship this year. So at any time, if you have a question throughout all of this, please don't hesitate, interrupt me, and be happy to field some of those questions. So it's also good, from, people may be wondering, with all the things going on with the American Radio Relay League, it's always good to start at the beginning and understanding what our mission is. And the mission, as you see on your screen, very, very simple. It's to advance the art, science, and enjoyment of amateur radio. That's what the ARRL's mission is, plain and simple. And how do we do that? There's 5 pillars that we focus on in order to build that foundation and also serve that mission. It's through public service, advocacy, education, technology, and obviously with membership. All very, very key things. And those 5 pillars build the structure for what our mission is focused upon. Even when I joined the ARRL a long time ago, I was always confused at how the league was structured. So what I want to be able to do is at least walk through and be able to present how the league is structured so that you have a good understanding, and then also understand where your role comes in as an amateur radio operator and how you can help support the league and help support not only the ARRL, but being a great ambassador to amateur radio. So from an organizational structure standpoint, and the ARRL Board of Directors, one thing it's pretty clear is that the ARRL is a representative democracy. Members control its policies through the power of the ballot. That I really, really want to stress really, really hard. It's the members of the league that control its policies through the power of the ballot. So there's 15 directors. They are elected by ARRL members on a regular basis. So there's one per ARRL division. So each division has a director, and there's also 15 vice directors that are also elected. into those positions as well. One key aspect behind this, the board members and officers are volunteers. There is no monetary compensation that takes place. So you have a dedicated group of 30 individuals across the country that are doing this purely out of the love and passion of amateur radio, and obviously the growth of amateur radio, certainly focusing back on the mission we just discussed here a few minutes ago. That's very important because a lot of people think, oh, you're on a board, you must get paid. Just not the case. There is zero compensation that takes place for any of the board members. So the organizational structure within the board and the officers, they're elected every 2 years. So the directors every 2 years will nominate and elect for the league a president, first vice president, second vice president, an international affairs VP, secretary, treasurer, and a chief executive officer. So within those roles, the CEO is one that is compensated. The CEO is running the day-to-day operations at headquarters and has those responsibilities to run the administrative side and run the entity of the ARRL business from a day-to-day standpoint. Now let's talk about the field organization. So we have the board that has the directors and the vice directors, and certainly they are the voice for the members, are the board members. But let's talk about an extension from the headquarters side is the ARRL field organization. So the field organization makes up 71 administrative sections. So with where we are right now, we're in the Colorado section, and we have exceptional leadership with Amanda, who's doing just a fantastic job as our section manager. So every 2 years, just like on the ARRL board, every 2 years, the membership elects a section manager. And again, the section manager has the responsibility of managing the field organization. And part of their responsibility is also to actively recruit volunteers to serve in some of those crucial program areas. And that's important. And that's where local amateur radio operators like us can provide at least some of their time, their talent, and their treasures in giving back within amateur radio on a local basis. And let's go over some of that. So the field organizations, there's a couple different appointment levels. You have station level appointments and you have section level appointments. So within the station level appointments, there's local government liaisons, public information officers, official emergency stations, official relay stations, and technical specialists. So of those 5 station level appointments, there's a very, very easy online application that you can fill out. And also there's a great deal of information as to what those level of appointments mean, what purposes they serve, and how they give back within the particular section. So if you'd like more information on that, please visit the section website. Also visit ARRL.org. Take a look at the information that's there, understand what some of those duties are, and then you can fill out an easy online application. Before I got involved in as vice director, I actually served in a couple of those station level appointments. And I found that very, very rewarding. It gave me the opportunity, particularly on the technical specialist side, as well as a local government liaison, to be able to interact real well, not only with other amateurs, but also the general public as well, and get them up to speed and understand that today's amateur radio is not what it was 25, 35, or 40 years ago. At the section level, there are section level appointments that take place. So those section level appointments are actually done by the section manager. There's a section traffic manager, a section emergency coordinator, a district emergency coordinator, and there's several different coordinators that make up the districts within the Colorado section. We have ECs, or emergency coordinators, official emergency stations, an assistant section manager, assistant section traffic managers, technical coordinators, affiliated club coordinators, public information coordinators, state government liaisons, section youth coordinators. So those section level appointments serve a very, very critical role in each of those categories. A lot of background within traffic, a lot of background within emergency communications, the technical aspect, club coordination, and state government liaison. So it's those section level appointments that are done by the section manager that become very, very critical as far as the active promotion and protection within the amateur radio and certainly the privileges we've been given as well within amateur radio and band protection. So making sure that we have that ongoing dialogue, particularly at a local level, certainly supports not only that protection, but it keeps people engaged in understanding what amateur radio is all about in today's day and age. I'm going to take a quick pause there. Is there any questions that I might be able to answer at this point? Okay, well, hearing none, here's a kind of a quick breakdown between that overall ARRL structure. We have a board of directors, we have section managers, and we have the field organization. So the board of directors, they are the voice of the members. They're volunteers. Again, remember that, complete volunteers. There's no monetary compensation to the board. And they represent the members in guiding the governance of the ARRL and its committees. Outside of amateur radio, I'm very close with several board members in other organizations. And I always ask the question, what do you feel the purpose of a board is? And one of the best responses that I got is that a board is there to guide and guard the organization. That's what the ARRL board of directors is there for. They're there to guide and also provide governance, not only for the business entity itself, but also for the committees. Section managers, they are an extension of the headquarters staff. They manage the field organization programs through coordinators and volunteers that we talked about on the previous slide. You have a great opportunity as an ARRL member to give back to the amateur radio community in supporting your section managers. The section managers need as much support as they can get, and you know they're usually taxed very, very thin as far as volunteers. So this is a wonderful opportunity to not only be a part of the promotion and being an ambassador within amateur radio, but also giving back and giving some support back to the section managers as well. And the field organization, again, that's where the section representation takes place. They execute and influence the ARRL headquarter programs under the section manager direction. So the field organization supports the section manager. The section manager is the extension of the headquarters staff back in Newington, Connecticut. And one thing I want to make clear, the section managers don't serve the board of directors. That's just not the case. The board of directors is there outside of what the section managers do in the field organization. The section managers from a field organization and an extension of headquarters standpoint are certainly the ones in charge there. And again, we do this for public service. We do it for advocacy, technology education, and obviously building membership within the league. So over the next couple minutes, I just want to go over some updates here as of recent that have taken place. We covered a few of them here right before kickoff. So we did cover at least the baud rate change that the FCC has put through. But there's also a couple things that I think are not as well publicized, and I think it's important. And what was fascinating with me as we went through the Elmering aspect with this, it's obvious that the DRC has a great dedication to learning and to teaching and to Elmering, which is awesome. That is really what amateur radio is about. I was actually having this discussion at the PRA meeting last night, and one of the comments that I made was that if it wasn't for the Elmer that I had, I probably would not have stayed within amateur radio. So everyone's an Elmer, and that's really, really important. Even my dog thinks that Elmering is very important. You can hear her barking in the background as looks like the FedEx truck is pulling up out front. So again, understand that as an amateur radio operator, everyone is an Elmer, whether you've been licensed for 6 months, a year, 30, 40, or 50 years. Everyone is an Elmer. One of the neat things that the ARRL has done here in recent years, they put together a great online learning center. So if you check out learn.arrl.org, you can actually set a pathway of learning through these online courses that are available to members. There's also additional instruction and training on getting on the air, emergency communications, electronics, and technology. It is a great showcase and a great overall consortium of just a wonderful mess of topics that are there to certainly support that. So it sounds like the FedEx guy's coming like to my door. So it sounds like my puppy dog really wants to greet them. So I apologize for her noisy presence in the background. So what's really neat about learn.arrl.org, there's several things that you can do. You're more or less in charge of charting your own learning adventure. So the course content is really focused around learning paths, and those learning paths are getting on the air, emergency communications, electronics and technology, and obviously there's a list of all courses that are there. We want learning through this portal to be something that is easy to navigate, and it's certainly one that allows individuals to really select that path that they're most interested in. If you're interested in emergency communications or MCOM, there's a pathway for you. If you want to understand, hey, what's the best methods of building antennas or understanding some electronics and components? What's all this about grounding and bonding? Or, hey, I've heard a lot about kit building. The electronics and technology portal, certainly something there. If you're new to amateur radio, maybe just got that license and now you got your license, or you passed your test, you got your license, then it comes down to now what? Well, getting on the air is obviously very important. So on the air, we want people to master the basics, not only on getting on the air, but communicating effectively with others, exploring radio operating activities. One of the things that I absolutely fell in love with in moving to Colorado is doing summits on the air. I absolutely enjoy it and I have a blast doing it. But also for new amateur radio operators, well, what's a good radio to get? What should be my first radio? Should I get an HT? Should I get a mobile radio? Can I use a mobile radio in the house as a base station? How high up of an antenna should I put? Where do I get my antenna? What type of antenna should I get? So that on the air learning module really helps newcomers into the amateur radio service to get a really good taste of the full buffet that's there within amateur radio. I've taken several of these courses and they are fantastic. I can't stress those enough. So if you are a member, make sure you check those out. You have access to these and they are really, really great learning modules and maybe something that is complementary to all the great things that the DRC is doing here at the local level. So let's dive into some current events and things that are happening there. So one of the more pressing things that's taking place is certainly comments that are needed within 60 meters. So there are instructions on the league website regarding how to submit those comments. And the main points for comment on this NPRM is urging the FCC to keep the 4 existing channel allocation to amateur radio on a secondary basis. I think it's also important that we urge the FCC to keep the 100-watt power limit for those 4 existing channels and the new 15 kilohertz subband. Those things, we have precious allocations of frequency spectrum. They are very, very precious. Even on a secondary basis, they're precious to us. I've started getting into 60 meters over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's a lot of fun. 60 meters can be an absolute blast, but certainly, like anything else, those precious frequency spectrums and bandwidth, they're targeted. They're a threat, and certainly commercial entities with big dollars and big dreams and big aspirations and big promises want a chunk of that pie. They want that frequency spectrum. So we certainly need your comments in protecting our allocation on a secondary basis on a 60 meter on the 60-meter band. Certainly, your membership and your participation in that rulemaking process really ensures that, number one, we're continuing to make a difference when those bans are threatened. And it's the voice of the public, it's the voice of the members, particularly when there's a notice of proposed rulemaking on the table. So if you haven't done so, please, please, please get cracking on that. The deadline is November 28th, so we're not that far away. So maybe before you start gobbling down turkey next Thursday, sometime in the morning, you have a little bit of free time before 10 meters gets really hot. Jump on, submit those comments. That will certainly go a very, very long way. The ARRL website, some really great things that have happened here. So those of you who are members of the ARRL or maybe haven't logged on in a while, number one, thanks for your patience as we went through this update to the website several months back. You will need to register if you haven't done so already. Even if you had a former log on, please make sure that you register. If you've already done that process and you've registered, you're in business, no problem there. Certainly, we've seen some easier site navigation. There's some personalization options that you have certainly under your login, which is cool to see. One of the really good things in the world that we live in within cybersecurity, adding two-factor authentication was important for member access and member information. So we did add the two-factor authentication. Logbook of the World was not impacted, as you've probably seen. So if you have questions regarding the website, please don't hesitate to make those known, and we'll certainly walk through those with you. One of the nice things is that we've had some members who have come back to say, I'm having trouble logging on. And this is a while ago, so hopefully we've walked through those. There is a great focus on customer service at headquarters. When you call, you actually get a live voice, which is great. We had one member who was having a dickens of a time renewing his license. Obviously, with all the changes on the licensing renewal that took place, he said, I felt like I was the only ARRL member when I called headquarters. I talked to the person who answered the phone. They got me to the right person, and they spent 30 minutes on the phone with me and walked me through everything, and it worked perfectly. So certainly want to call that out from a customer service aspect within the ARRL. Tremendous focus back on customer service and obviously serving the members. Speaking of the FCC, obviously we had a application fee update, and those new $35 fees applies for new applications, renewal applications, and vanity call sign applications. So lots of members may not have had to worry about the $35 fee because their renewal window was they had some time. A lot of members I'm starting to see here in the last couple of years have started to go, wait a minute, what do I do here? So the new $35 fee is in place. There's a couple of exemptions that take place on that. So administrative updates, if you have a name change, if you have an address change, if you have an email change, those administrative updates are exempt from that $35 fee. And also a modification application to upgrade your class. So if you're going from general to extra, or you're going from technician to general, there's an exemption for that $35 fee. And that was confirmed last year back in March 29th by the FCC. So again, it's for new applications or renewals. If people say, do I pay a $35? Do I not? It's only for new applications. So if you're studying to get your technician license, you'll have to pay. If you're renewing, you'll have to pay. If you want a new vanity call sign, you'll have to pay. Those are the really the three levels of criteria that take place with that $35 application fee. VECs and the volunteer examiners, they will not collect the $35 fee at the exam session. For ARRL VEs, it's a $15 exam session fee. The $35 that will be paid directly to the FCC via the Corps' FRN site. There's no change in the VEC or the VE team's procedures. And one question that gets thrown out there, if I take multiple exams in one session, do I have to pay $35 for each exam? The answer is no. So if you have one exam session and you pass two tests, so you go from tech, you get your tech and you get your general, you pay once. Or if you take all three, you pay once. It's only one application that's transmitted back to the FCC in any of those. So people don't have to worry that if, oh man, if I take all three tests, I'm gonna have to pay the $35 fee three times. That's not the case. You pay the $35 fee once per application that's transmitted, and that application can have up to 3 test sessions on there, or 3 successful passing tests on there. So now what? So once you pass your exam or you do your vanity update, the FCC will receive, let's talk about this from the idea of exams. When they receive the exam info, the FCC will email a link with payment instructions back to you. So when you're taking your FCC exam, it's very, very important you put the right email address. Make sure you have an email address when you're getting your FRN number. That is very, very important, because that is the only way the FCC is going to contact you. So they're going to email a link with payment instructions. You will have 10 calendar days from the date of that application to pay. And after the payment processing, or after the payment and the FCC processing, you'll get a second email with a link to your official license, or if there's a reason it was dismissed or denied, an explanation as to why. There are no refunds. So once it's paid, that's it. That link after payment and FCC processing is valid for 30 days only. So if you pass your test, you get that second email after you've paid. You get your official license, download it, print it out, make a copy of it, save it onto your Google Drive. Make sure you get that done, because that link is only good for 30 days. Youth licensing and grant program. So back when the $35 fee was launched, the ARRL Board of Directors jumped on that very well in covering a one-time $35 application fee for hams that are 18 years or younger than 18 years old. The exam must be given under the ARRL VEC, and they also reduced the exam fee to $5, which is really great for engaging youth. You think about that, if, when I got my license when I was 14, I think I ended up paying, I think it was $10 for the exams. And I couldn't imagine walking in going, oh, wait a minute, I got to pay $35 plus I got to pay $15. Oh, that's a lot for a teenager, even in today's day and age. The ARRL and the board made some provisions in order to help support that and keep youth involved, to make sure that the monetary hurdle wasn't there as far as taking the FCC exam. Dues structures, very, very big topic that's going on right now. So we'll talk about the elephant in the room for a little bit. The dues structures for ARRL members has changed effective January 1st, coming up here 2024. So regular dues within the U.S. are going to increase to $59 a year. That's effective January 1. Members are going to continue to have access to QST and on the air, but it's in digital format. Getting the hard copy will incur, it actually will incur additional costs at the membership level. So after January 1, print and mail QST and on the air magazines become optional add-ons at $25 a year for each of those. So wanted to make sure that was understood and known, and part of that too was certainly the cost of publication, the cost of printing has certainly climbed dramatically in the last couple of years. That certainly has gone up tremendously. But at the same time too, when we think about the digital formats that are out there, and as an ARRL member, not only do you get access to QST and on the air digitally, but you also get access to the contest journal, which is really good. You also get access to QEX. So you have access to all those digitally. Nothing's lost, they're just in a different format. Let's just continue on with some of those summaries. So Those on regular memberships, remaining term, so their remaining term is current right now. If they want to continue to receive QST or on the air after January 1st, they will need to purchase an additional subscription to get those hard copies. For life members, as of July 2023, they may choose between receiving a print QST or on the air at no additional cost, but they need to contact the ARRL offices before June 30th of 2024. If you are a life member, first of all, thank you for being a life member. But secondly, if you want to opt in and still receive a copy of QST or on the air, you have to contact the office and make that request. So please make sure you do that. One of the other things that the board also passed was a monthly payment plan options. And those are in the process of being created, and those are particularly geared for members that are 70 or older, and in order to help those that may be experiencing some financial stress and able to keep their ARRL membership active. Right now, the life membership program is currently being modified, and it's on pause right now. So right now, the ARRL is not taking any new life membership applications until we figure out how those new rates are going to be established. We really want life membership to be a revenue neutral mechanism for the league, and right now it's obviously it's counter to that. So there will be modifications to those life membership programs. If you're already a life member, nothing changes. If you're thinking about life membership, understand that the parameters, as you may have known it before, are going to be changing here in the coming months. So wanted to make you aware of that. One of the things that I think is important to highlight, because it's a lot of changes that are taking place, particularly with magazine subscriptions, dues fees going up. There's a lot there. So I think it's also important to highlight the history behind when was our last dues increase. And that actually took place in 2016. So a number of years ago, it went up back in 2016. And before that, it wasn't done until 2001. So this is only the third increase in about 24 years, which is obviously when we think about the inflationary aspects that we've all experienced here in the last few years, only having 3 increases over that 23-year period is pretty minimal. A lot of people ask, well, why is there an increase? And the bottom line, as an organization, the financial health, there's been some significant losses financially at the ARRL over the last 4 years, mostly driven by inflation. And people wonder, well, hang on a minute, prices were going up 2-3 years ago. Why didn't you do it then? We actually had a grant and an award from the PPP loan that allowed us to pause any sort of increases, use that in order for the operational costs to be subsided. So obviously that financial health is very, very important, and that's one of the reasons why we have that increase taking place. From a cost cutting, well, what's being done? There's been several delays in hiring. Unlike past practices where if things were needed, the ARRL would staff up, we're looking and have executed on outsourcing some of those programs and also consolidating responsibilities within headquarters. So those cost-cutting measures operationally are actively taking place, and that is just part of the DNA as the ARRL is today. So certainly by understanding from a business standpoint and a business operations standpoint, when you delay hiring, you outsource versus staff up, and you consolidate responsibilities, you're really tightening the belt from a financial aspect and making sure you have good financial performance and health, with the hope of righting the ship regarding the losses that we've experienced over the last 4 years. So not too long ago, there was a survey that went out to members. There was excellent response that came out to it, and there is some wonderful, wonderful details and results regarding the ARRL and the dues survey. So if you would like access to that, in a fully transparent way, please visit ARRL/dues-survey-results, and you'll get all kinds of great details regarding that survey if you have not seen it as of yet. Coming up within the Rocky Mountain Division in the summertime, July 12th and the 13th, if you're so inclined, take a trip out to St. George for the 2024 Rocky Mountain Division Convention. So at a great convention center, the Dixie Convention Center is an excellent location. So HamCon Zion coming up next summer, July 12th and the 13th. If you can make the trip out there, we'd love to have you out there and look forward to hopefully seeing you there. Last but not least, if you are an ARRL member, thank you. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be able to serve you, certainly in the capacity that I do at the board level. But I think it's also important that people understand that ARRL membership is much more than just a publication or a magazine. We're about learning. We're about continuous learning. QST and On the Air are part of that continuous learning. We have that great learning center that we highlighted here a few minutes ago. Wonderful product reviews. I love the product reviews that are done in the lab. They're just some exceptional reviews that are done unbiased. They're really good. E-newsletters. So if you have particular things that you're passionate about within amateur radio, you can subscribe to e-newsletters that give you weekly or bi-weekly updates on all things that are happening within those particular sectors. From a membership standpoint, some of the benefits and the services that you get: a technical information service, an outgoing QSL card service. I just got a pile of cards here from the Bureau this week. So I have a bunch of QSL cards and different ones that I need to send out. So as a member, you have access to that outgoing QSL card service. Email forwarding, so you can have an email forwarding alias with your call sign at ARRL.net, and also awards. Obviously with the band conditions being as superb as they've been and contest season really kicking off, you have some access to some great awards. Community and leadership, and this is one thing where I really want to stress. This is where the magic happens. The magic doesn't necessarily happen in the ARRL boardroom or at headquarters. It's meetings like this. It's meetings at the local club level. Is really where the magic happens. Affiliated partners, special pricing that they get on certain items, online forums. We talked about volunteer opportunities and obviously the advocacy. The ARRL is there to support that, but certainly the advocacy, the volunteer opportunities, the partnerships, and obviously a great club like the Denver Radio Club. This is where the magic happens, is at the club level. And I think that's important for everyone to really understand. If you are thinking about ARRL membership or you have questions about ARRL membership, please let me know. I'm happy to assist in guiding any of those questions or helping you understand further what some of those benefits mean to you as a member and also as an amateur radio operator. Last but not least, I can say thank you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to present to you over the last 40 minutes or so on what's happening with the ARRL, the benefits of membership, and also some of the current events that are taking place. So with that, I want to say thank you, number one, for that. Number two, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as Vice Director within the Rocky Mountain region. It's certainly an honor to be a voice of the members, and I thoroughly enjoy serving the ARRL members. And also, even if you're not an ARRL member, I love serving the amateur radio community, certainly through the ARRL. So with that, I'll stop sharing my screen. Please copy my email address down if you need to reach out to me. Very easy to do so, and look forward to any comments or questions that you may have.
Yeah, that was a great presentation. Really appreciate it. You got me excited, and I'm old. Hey, we've only got 4 entries for the door prize drawing, so get your entries in if you haven't done it so far. Click the link.
Question for Dan.
Yeah, Bill.
This is Kevin. So,
Oh, Kevin, there you are.
ARRL had the National Parks on the Air event that was successful, and this year they're using Volunteers on the Air as another event. Are there any plans for similar events next year that have not been released yet?
There's always plans for that. So obviously those are going to be underway. We'll probably have an update here come January. We'll have some updates through the Program and Services Committee at the January board meeting, and I would expect there'll be some continuation from when we did Parks on the Air, Volunteers on the Air. I would be shocked if there wasn't something that they're conspiring to do for 2024.
Sounds good. And are you activating as a volunteer on the air with your points?
Oh, absolutely. I've been very active on CW and sideband and FT8. So yeah, I get on the air frequently, mostly on the weekends. Obviously, I have a pretty intense work schedule and a travel schedule, but I always carve out a few hours on the weekend to burn up the HF bands.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you.
And if you'd like to set up a schedule for a contact, let me know. I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, if there's no more questions for Dan, we're up to 5 entries for the.
There'll be one more here in just a minute.
Okay, for the door prize drawing. Anybody else wants to squeak in, do so now. And Dan, thanks again. What a great presentation. It was very informative and much appreciated.
Oh, my honor. Anytime, if I'd be happy to come out to be able to do this as regularly or as often as the DRC wants, and even probably get myself out to maybe some of your events as well. It'd be great to meet you all in person.
Yeah, that would be great. We started these DRC Saturdays over the summer, and they were quite popular.
Yes.
Kind of fills the gap of not having physical meetings anymore.
Understood.
Okay, we've got 7 entries. Unless anybody says different, I'll go ahead and spin the drum here and see what the randomization comes up with. So the winner tonight is KM4 CFT, Jonathan Kane. Well, congratulations, Jonathan. And I'll forward your contact information on to Jerry, and they'll get that certificate sent out to you for the HRO $25 certificate. Any last
awesome.
questions? Any last questions for Dan or anything for the cause before we adjourn? This is my 3rd meeting today, so I'm ready to call it an end. Good night, all. Appreciate your attendance.
Thank you. 7-3, everyone.
Take care.